My name's Inspector Craig Fox and we're at the Longford Police Station.
What do you love about your job and why did you join the police?
We'll go with the why I joined first. Policing was probably in my blood. My father was a policeman. I had two uncles that were in the police and I had a cousin that was in the police. I'm the only one left now. But I suppose it was just something I knew growing up. Dad moved around a lot of country towns through his journey in Tasmania Police. I knew what I was getting into. I was 22 when I joined. Had a few other jobs. I travelled overseas and came back home and thought, what do I know? I finished grade 12 in Burnie. Yeah, so I just applied, joined. I wouldn't say it was a burning ambition, but it's just that I knew it and I thought I'd be pretty good at it. So that's why I joined. What I really like about policing is the relationships that you make with people, both internally, like with other police officers. They've really been a big part of my life now for 30 years. I've made some really good friends, some great people, but also about the relationships you make within the community as well. A lot of the smaller communities that I've worked in, I've met some real characters. I've played sport, worked in isolated areas, and you get to know people. And then if you get to know them, you can probably get to help them a bit more. So essentially, I really love that stuff about policing, is getting to know people, getting to help them, being approachable and personable.
How have you found the last 3 or so months in the new job?
Yep.
And how is it different from previous gigs?
Yeah, well, I've been an inspector now for 6 years, and 4 years of that was in charge of crime and drugs in Launceston. That was really busy. We had some really high profile cases, drug cases and murder cases, a lot of firearms, we seized a heap of firearms when I was there. Then went to Launceston uniform for 2 years, nearly 2 years, which was a very busy station. So I've been here in Longford now for 3 months, and whilst it's a slower pace, it comes with other challenges. You have the challenge of you only have a limited amount of police resources, so we have about 21, 22 police officers for the entire Central North Division, which encompasses from Tunbridge through to past Elizabethtown, and a bit of the Highlands, a bit of the East Coast. So it's a fair chunk of Tasmania. So that comes with the tyranny of distance. Is trying to get a smaller amount of police officers in a large area. So that's been challenging. The transition, as I say, because I've worked in a lot of country areas throughout my career, transitioning to a more rural setting, for me, pretty easy.
Do you know how many police stations there are in the Meander Valley?
I do. I'd be pretty silly if I didn't. So we have Deloraine Police Station and Westbury Police Station. They come under the Meander Valley Council. But the Central North Division also encompasses Longford Police Station and Campbelltown Police Station. So they're the operational ones we have. We also have Perth Police Station and Evandale Police Station, but whilst they're still owned by the police department, they're not used as operational police stations. Yeah, so we have the 4 main stations where we have, I say, 20 odd police working out of.
Do you see any changes in particular, the Meander Valley ones in the future? I think I saw something recently about maybe there'll be a service desk or not.
Yeah.
Is that something that might be happening?
Yeah, definitely. I've had a fair bit to do with the Meander Valley Council since I've been here. There's no doubt that they want and the community want the customer service operator back at Deloraine Police Station. I'm very supportive of that. We do have the capacity to put someone there, maybe not full-time, but definitely in some hours. And I get that. I know the community want the police station open more than not. And if it's just staffed by operational police officers and they're in and out, off at jobs, the station at Deloraine does need a bit of work. So we're looking at what we can do with the council to upgrade that station to a standard where it's safe for a customer service operator to be in the station, potentially alone sometimes. So we're doing a bit of work on that. Hopefully we'll get there pretty soon, but I think both the community, the council and me are all on the same page. We want to have that station a bit more open and accessible for the public.
I know it's hard to guess, but if these changes, hopefully they can occur, do you reckon there'd be a ballpark timeline?
Look, I wouldn't like to say, because even though I've got something in my mind, if it didn't happen, then that's what you said. Yeah, look, as soon as we can, really, as soon as we can.
What are some of the more common incidents that police attend to in the region?
Being a rural area, and in the middle of the major highways of Tasmania, we do get a lot of traffic complaints. We have a traffic section for the Northern District which operates out of this station as well. So between our traffic section and our own Longford staff and Campbelltown staff, we do a lot on the highways. But more locally, it's like any other town, but just on a smaller, less level. So we get plenty of domestics, disturbances, alcohol-related issues. Unfortunately, drugs are part of society. It doesn't matter where you live now. Unfortunately, drugs probably rears its head. So they're the sort of jobs that we normally get. We do get some complaints about animals on rural roads. We've had a few incidences of illegal shooting going on, and we did an operation about 4 or 5 weeks ago, which involved parks, involved our helicopter. We worked some strange shifts, and whilst the results we didn't get a huge result, it was more about the message. People know that we're prepared to change our shifts, get a helicopter involved, get our drones involved, and other agencies, and so that's a good deterrent.
What are some of the memorable moments you've had in your career that you can talk about?
Yeah, I can tell you. Memorable. I've got really fond memories of a lot of the isolated areas I've worked. So I've worked King Island. I was the sergeant there for 3 years. Some great people, had some great times exploring the island in an official police capacity, of course, with four-wheel drives, ATVs, boats. I had a particularly nasty incident on the boat on King Island in the Curry Harbour once when we nearly flipped the boat over. That was interesting. But apart from that, there's getting to know the community and embedding yourself in the community. That's been great. Memorable cases. I've been involved in a lot of murder investigations, especially in the last probably 6 years. They're very interesting investigations, but you're dealing with some pretty horrible people and some really traumatised family members. That's pretty difficult. Some of the really involved investigations we've done in relation to whether it be murders, whether it's drug investigation, whether it's firearm investigation, sometimes they can go on for months and months. So when you get a really positive result, that's very satisfying. And also getting a good result for victims and their families. Some of the more high profile murder cases, I've had a lot of engagement with the families. And whilst you see them at their worst, and I couldn't even imagine what they're going through, being able to charge someone and get a conviction and get that person in prison, might give some comfort to the family. So they're very rewarding. But yeah, there's been lots of fun. A lot of funny things happen, which I probably can't really talk about, but there's a lighter side of policing that I really like. You don't come to work and be serious for 8 hours a day, 300 days a year. You've got to have those lighter moments, and you've got to have a good laugh. Sometimes that laugh is just in the police station with your officers. Other times it involves the people that you're dealing with. And so when you get those opportunities, I really grab hold of them.
Is there a lot of support for police officers, considering the things that they see, the jobs that they do?
Yeah.
How does that work? There
is. We have a pretty good welfare program, and it's a program that's got better over the years that I've been in. Yeah, so we have welfare officers, we have access to psychological services if we need to, we have critical incident debriefs regularly. And I think just socially, throughout the whole community, that talking about whether it be a mental health problem or an incident that you've been through which is upsetting you, has become more accepted, and that's good. So 30 years ago, my father's time in the police, no, he wouldn't have spoken about it. You probably would have been pretty tough and had a beer and not said too much about it. That's not the way to treat trauma. If you go to something bad, if you've got an issue with anything, if it's something's for whatever reason actually personally resonated with you, then we have a pretty good program to give us the best assistance and help that we need.
What are some of the things that police do that perhaps aren't as well known through the community? So you mentioned getting out into the community.
Yeah, look, essentially we're problem solvers. So if you've got a problem, generally you ring the police, and that probably happens more in the country areas. So they might know the local police officer, they might know where they live, they might go around to their house, and I've had that. We give out plenty of advice on everything. How to be a better parent, how to be a better son or daughter, how to be a better partner. And not that we necessarily have a great deal of training in that, but we have a lot of experience in that. We see people at their worst and in their worst situations, and so we give out a lot of free advice But a lot of other things we do which people might not understand. We have a lot to do in the mental health space with people who are having some sort of mental health crisis. We're heavily involved in that. We assist Tasmanian Ambulance Service with a lot of their jobs that they go to. But it's not unusual for something completely left of field that is not particularly police related that we might have a hand in, just because we try and help solve problems.
I saw there was training in Deloraine a couple of weeks ago with the SES, TFS, Rapid Relief and whatnot, but they talked about how Tas Police is responsible for the searching waterways in flooding events. And that's one of the things that I didn't realise that falls under your responsibility as well.
Yeah, so we have lead agencies. So obvious ones, if it's a fire, Tas Fire are the lead agency. If there's a siege type situation, Tasmania Police, but we do have the responsibility for quite a few things. Swift water rescues. We just did a big exercise at the Launceston Airport with the simulated plane crash, and we're the lead agency when it comes to plane crashes. Even though the Air Safety Transport Bureau has an investigation, we manage the incidents. So we only did that exercise a few weeks ago, and I must admit, when I got here and they said you're running the exercise, I thought, why are police running a crash? But yeah, they're the sort of things that come under our responsibility, which a lot of people wouldn't know.
I'm interested to know, obviously you're an inspector, what is the process of getting promotions? How do people rise up through Tasmania Police?
Yeah, so it's basically when you join now as a constable, you do your 12 months probation, and then pretty much straight away you can start looking at doing things that may accelerate your promotion. So you can do courses that might be through UTAS, or it could be at the Police Academy, which gives you certain qualifications to then continue on and do a level of exams. So maybe after 3 or 4 years you can do some exams that, if you pass, you can then do a sergeant's qualifying course, which is the internal one at the Police Academy. If you pass that, then there's an interview process to get promoted to sergeant, and it's the same for inspector. After you become a sergeant, you could then do some further study and courses which enhance your ability to then complete some inspector's exams. If you do that, there's an inspector's course. So it's quite a process, but for me to get to inspector, it took me 24 years. I wasn't the quickest, but to get to sergeant, you might find that you can become a sergeant in Tasmania Police within several years. And there's some really good people out there, some really quality people, young people that are coming through with some great ideas, and they're contemporary and they're enthusiastic and energetic. And for some of us, it takes a little bit longer, and that might be family related stuff. For the fact that I've got a wife, 2 kids, they were my priority for a long time. And even when I got promoted to sergeant with 2 small children, it's hard on the family. I knew that I probably wasn't going to continue on a quick promotional path because I had other responsibilities at home. But yeah, it's quite a journey. You have to tick a lot of boxes to get promoted to sergeant and inspector and then further.
Yep. What's an example of some of the subjects that you study? I'm interested. Is it like very specific or?
Yes, it can be. Through the University of Tasmania, we have leadership, a lot of leadership. There's also things that are really just focused on police work, like emergency management, incident management, human resource management was a big thing that I did. People can go through the UTAS process through our Police Academy and get qualifications. It doesn't have to be police related. But then there's courses you do, there's leadership courses, there's courses with other jurisdictions as well. I've done dozens of courses, whether it be crime investigation, drug investigation, the sergeants and inspectors process. And all these things just broaden your knowledge, create a greater experience. So when you do decide if you want to go down the promotional path, then you've actually got a lot of experience to draw on, not just being a frontline uniformed police officer for several years. I've been an investigator, I've done drugs and crime, I've been on a few national courses. So there's lots of things you can do. And the connection with UTAS came in quite a few years ago now, which just gave us a bit more of a qualification, recognising the work that we were doing probably already within the Police Academy, but gave us an educational qualification as well.
If someone was interested in joining Tas Police, what's the process? How long does it take for training, and any words of advice?
Words of advice, firstly, just really know what you're getting into. It's a very rewarding job, and I've found it really rewarding, but there's been moments that it's been terrible. Thankfully for me, those moments have been few and far between. But just if you're thinking of joining, jump online, have a look at the application process and have a chat with our recruiting people. If you know a police officer, have a chat with them, just to get a bit of a feel of exactly what you're getting into. You do see people at their worst, situations which are just not normal, and unfortunately we deal with that a lot of the time. Even though it's a small part of the community, it's a big part of what we do. So make sure that you understand what you're getting into, number one. And then if you think it's for you, then at the moment we're doing a lot of recruiting because we're trying to boost our numbers. Yeah, there might be 150 odd recruits going through every year at the moment. Now that process has changed a bit over the last few years. It used to be that you had to go and live at the academy and you were there for 6, 7, 8 months. Now it's, depending on where you live, you can do a course in Launceston. We have it at the UTAS campus out there, and they connect through with the Police Academy in Hobart for most of their lectures. The live-in component of the Police Academy at Rugby isn't as rigid as it used to be. If you live in Hobart, then you don't have to stay at the Police Academy. And I think initially now you do 20 weeks of a recruit training program, then you come out into the field for 6 weeks, I think it is, several weeks, and do a lot of infield training, and then you go back to the Police Academy for a few weeks to just sharpen up on a few things and finalise some of the operational skills, things that we need, like our firearms validation. And so the whole process now is probably under 30 weeks, whereas when I went through I think it was more around that sort of 35 weeks, and it was all at the academy, whereas now there's a big component in the field. So at the moment I think there's probably 7 or 8 recruits from the various courses, whether it be Launceston or Hobart, that are working in Launceston and getting on-the-job experience. And it's a good opportunity for us to have a look at the recruits, and it's a great opportunity for the recruits to then say, is this really for me? And we've had that conversation with lots of people. If we go, geez, you've got to ask, be honest with yourself, is this for you? And we've had a few that have gone, no.
Better to work it out sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and I think it's really good with the outstation program being 6 weeks, is if you're at the academy and you're not quite sure, then that 6 weeks you should have an idea of this, if it's going to be for you or not.
Do you think Northern Central will get some more recruits over the next few years?
Very hard for me to say. This division here, being the Central North Division, unlikely that we will see an increase in police numbers. But we look at things like where the population is growing, what jobs are that we're getting in the community. Are the jobs going up? Are they across the state? There's been an increase in a lot of things, but then there's also been a downturn in some other areas. So all that gets weighed up, and if there's a strong argument to increase police services to a particular area, then we will. Yep. The Northern District has had an increase in police numbers over the last several years, and we've also had an increase in what we call areas that wouldn't traditionally be out of the north. They're now having satellite stations or satellite offices in the north. We have a sex crime investigation area, we have a cyber crime investigation area, there's a lot of what we call business improvement areas, might be working on computer systems and those sort of things. So we're seeing that more, those opportunities be more in the north of the state rather than just Hobart centric. And that just gives people the opportunity that if they're interested in something a little bit different, that they can do it in the north rather than have to go to Hobart. So that's been really good as well.
What are some basic suggestions for the community in terms of safety or other?
Just be a bit more aware of what's going on. And if it doesn't look right or it doesn't feel right, then report it. We would rather get reports that turn out to be nothing rather than have to deal with several reports of crime the next day, whether it be break-ins or something like that. Be aware of what's going on around you, and if it's not right, give us a ring. If you can report stuff via Crime Stoppers, but if it's something you think the police should be there, get there sooner rather than later, then ring the 131 444 number because you'll get a response. Crime Stoppers and online reporting is more of an information-based thing, and there can be follow-up later. Yep. The introduction of a lot of CCTV cameras has been really good. A lot of homes these days have really good cameras set up, and you can just view it on your mobile phone. Whether you're home or not, you can look at it. Yeah, it's a deterrent, and it also gives us an investigative tool if you are broken into or your business is broken into. Yeah, so technology is a big advancement in home and personal security. It's fairly inexpensive these days. My advice is if you think you need it, then you should get it.
Yep. What's your favourite part of the Meander Valley?
I don't want to annoy anyone. I like the Deloraine Township. I think it's a lovely looking town, a nice with the river and nice old buildings and history, and the same with a lot of Meander Valley, which I haven't got to yet, but I do like history and Australian history and anything that's old, historical, lovely old buildings, beautiful scenery, I really like. So I do patrolling around, and even though I'm based here in Longford, I get out to areas such as Deloraine and work out of there for a day or two, and same with Campbelltown. Yeah, so I do Deloraine in that area. I think it's a lovely area.